interesting but super weird. There must be lighting, use emissive for static, cast shadows, so I can't change those. Control whether the primitive should inject light into the light propagation volume. It should affect dynamic distance field lighting methods. Dynamic shadow, oh wait. Okay, volumetric translucent shadow, no. Self shadow only, no. Far shadow. Dynamic insert shadow. Shadow two-sided light as if static. Light attachments as a group. And then lighting channel, channel 0. Controls which part of your material will appear to glow. I don't know what pixel depth offset is. Surface opaque shading model default lit two-sided use material attribute pins decal response vivid LOD allow negative emissive color values. You can have negative brightness, which is kind of interesting. Generate spherical normals, no. Tangent space emissive. If enabled, the material's emissive color is injected into the light propagation volume. If enabled, the material's opacity defines how much global illumination is blocked when using the light propagation volume feature. Material's opacity defines how much GI is blocked now. Fully rough wireframe translucency self-shadowing usage mobile forward shading no post-process refraction light mass diffuse boost export resolution P. Alright, so I changed what did I change? Emissive, what is that? Dynamic area light. That's not it though. That's not the answer though. This doesn't actually change this. It doesn't actually change this, I don't think. The light propagation volume thing is not this. Although I guess we do want to turn it on. Use emissive for static lighting. Fall off. Static mesh emissive scene lighting. This is old. This is super old, I think. Light component. Five options in this menu. Point light. Animate the lighting to suit the scene. That being said, you don't have to animate asset. I would still light the scene if you so wish. Diffuse boost scales the diffuse contribution of all materials applied to this. Emissive boost scales the emissive contributions. Is emissive light explicit influence radius? That's the one that I want, isn't it? Emissive light fall-off exponent. But this is an older version. This is not even UE4. Alright, what do we have? Same as before. Pretty much the same as before. Lighting, light mask settings, cast shadow, use this for static lighting. Distance field indirect. No, it's not. Huh. Alright, what if? Let me just move it over here. Let me just move it over here. Yeah, look, it's super small. The radius is. What if we scale it up? What if we make the question mark bigger? How about that? What if we make the question mark bigger? I want to move it further away from the other things. Let me just check this again to make sure I'm not missing something. Surface light function from user to know opaque, masked, translucent, additive, modulate. I mean, it's not meant to be translucent. Receive decals, level of detail, number of customized UVs. Emissive. It is emissive. Screen lighting mode. Screens. Smoke and dust. Yeah, no. We don't have translucency. Cast shadow as mask. Diffuse boost. Scales the diffuse contribution of this material to the static lighting. It's not. I don't think it is. Alright, let me just build this. And range. Use mesh as a light source. I'm making an interior level as a corridor with small light insets. I have a plane with an emissive material, but it does not light the wall at all. Anything that can be done to get it to emit light, or do I need to add lots of point lights in there or something? If you found a solution. If you're using static lighting, a better solution would be to enable use emissive for static lighting and the mesh disable. Well, it doesn't really answer the question. Light propagation volume now works with emissive material. These instructions to activate LPV. Plus add a directional light with effect dynamic affecting indirect lighting turned on. Dynamic area emissive for dynamic. In your dynamic directional light, set its intensity to 0.004. Anything below that disables emissive lighting. What? With emissive lighting, without emissive lighting. GI replace? Okay, well somebody's got it to work. Currently implemented as a work in progress feature. Wait, when was this? What time? How long ago was this? It's a technique to approximately achieve global illumination in real time. Oh. It uses lattices and spherical harmonics to represent the spatial and angular dispersion of light and scene. But that's not what I'm... You have to change the INI to enable it. Alright, so it's not actually available yet. Wait, what? Wait, now it affects a lot of... Wait, what? But the buttress is not lit. What is happening? What's happening? And why? Alright, so there's a really bright question mark. The light, it does light up the shadow a little bit. It does light up. Well, I mean, it kind of does. Look, it doesn't light that up, but it lights that up. For some reason. It doesn't light the buttress. Except for that bit there. What is happening? Why would any of this happen? I don't understand what's going on here. I really don't. Like, why is buttress not lit? I don't understand. Alright, let's put this back down to 50. And blends, color constant, atmosphere coordinates, cube map custom debug, depth, foliage, font functions, post-process setting, gradients, image adjustment, landscape, lighting, material attributes, material layer blend, math, opacity parameters, scalar, texture, vector, particles, procedurals, object space falloff, derives a falloff based on object's location. Generate blend, generate offset bands, normal for, no, none of that is correct. Object space falloff is strange. View, align, reflection, shading, speed tree, texture. Add a scene color node here. Texturing. 3ds and Maya UV coordinates, funny. Camera world blend. Detail texturing. Skybox image. World aligned texture, no, uncategorized. 1D to 2D. Camera depth fade. Distance limited reflections, no. Emissive color. Unless I'm misunderstanding. Maybe there's a missing variable in emissive color. Adds emissive. I don't know what any other stuff means. Emissive color. Not that one. Material inputs. Emissive color. Emissive brightness. Parameter 6. What on earth is emissive brightness? Palette. So they made it 6 in this one. Brightness of 6 gives you that. And they made it yellow. And that's it. Values greater than 1 as HDR lighting is supported. And it's just this, yes, it's yeah, no, this is pretty much the same thing. Except I don't suppose a 4th vector constant would work better. So can we just pick the color here? Let me just pick this color. And opacity is 1. Let me remove that, delete that. So now we're gonna have an alpha channel as well. I don't think that makes any difference though. I don't think that makes any difference unless it does. Alright, let's build. Or unless I have to turn up the quality, which is also possible. Unless the preview quality doesn't actually do this calculation properly. Emissive color. Use emissive for lighting. Because nobody else seems to have the same question as I do. Literally nobody else has the same question as me. UDK Unreal Document 4. Alright, cool. Well, legacy options. Okay, this is it's not correct anymore. Light propagation volumes. Point lights, lighting trouble, epic wiki. Why are my shadows black? No, that's not it. Emissive. The power of post-process global illumination settings. Global illumination in direct lighting color and red lighting intensity. Emissive material for the rod. Wait. What was that? Why did the computer do that? Emissive material for the rod. A dim point light for the room. 2 post-process volumes that overlap. Very cheap way to fix some dynamic GI with your post-process. I don't actually want. This is not what I want. This is a post-process global illumination. This is faking global illumination. Yeah, nobody else seems to have the same problem as me. So, alright, well, it's dimmer again. But the light still, like, you know, it doesn't, it lights that, but not that, for some reason. And also, it's not in the middle, look at this. The light is not in the middle of the circle. Isn't that the weirdest thing? Alright, let's go to build, lighting quality, production. See if there's any difference at all. I mean, there's been a number of times now where just turning that up to production has fixed some things that look weird. But I don't think it'll fix this, but who knows, it might, right? The thing is, if we can't use meshes as lights in any way that is reasonable, then we have to think of something else to do. Like I kind of want a scene where all the lights are just meshes. Just have glowing words lighting up the rest of the level is what I want to do. But well, we might just be finding out that it's not possible with the Unreal 4 lighting engine. That might be what we are learning at this point in time. It seems like there's a light. Well, I don't know. I don't know what's going on. I don't actually know what's going on. So this light doesn't seem to be so like it's not casting like the O is not casting a shadow back here either, which again is odd. There's a number of super odd things with this. Like it kind of works, but not in the way that you expect. Okay, this is better. This is better. This is much better. This is actually much closer to what I expect. Okay, well, once again, the only problem once again, the only problem was our lighting was just at a low quality. The preview quality just doesn't do it correctly. Whereas the production quality does it well, again, today we learned every single time things don't work, it seems like you just turn up the quality and then things are fine again. Alright, well, we figured it out. It's a little odd that the light just doesn't reach here. The light barely doesn't reach the RE. So just it doesn't quite reach the B, and it doesn't quite reach the other stuff, which is a little odd. But aside from that, it actually does work. It actually does work. Great. Great. Good to know. Okay, let me cancel that. Come over here. Crank this back up a little bit more, or even a lot more. Let me make it 500. Just wondering if, yes, save that. But not only that, what if we override this and make this much higher resolution? This might be what we want to do. So I thought that the light mass resolution only affects the shadows an object receives, but it's possible that the light mass resolution also affects the light that emits from the object, because it's not just receiving shadows, but also the way the light bounces off each object. And maybe if we turn up the resolution on the question mark, then the light will also be a better resolution coming out of it. We'll find out very soon whether this is the case or not. And we just continue to learn all sorts of interesting things as we fiddle around with these numbers. Very interesting, am I right? Very interesting. I just wish the learning process was a little faster. I guess most of the problem here is that every time we test something, we have to rebuild the lighting. And if we rebuild the lighting at a lower quality, which is supposed to be faster, that just makes it not work. So the only way it works is if we do the lighting in production quality. And every time we do that, we have to wait for the whole lighting thing to build again. So the iteration time is a little long. And that's most of the time that we're spending here. So we turned up the brightness again, and then we turned up the light mass resolution, and we'll see how this looks now. Okay, well it's brighter. It's brighter, but the light is still not hitting some of this stuff, and I don't know why. Is it just... I guess the light comes out of the normals, and because the thing is not spherical, if the light comes directly out of the normals, then it's coming out either side, and it's also like sweeping down the question mark and either side, and maybe it's just not hitting the rest of that. So if on that hypothesis, if I rotate it this way, then the light should glow straight out and shine at the buttress. Right? If I just rotate it that way, the whole buttress should be lit up. And again, we have to click this and iterate the lighting again. And then we'll find out again whether this is accurate or not. Although before we do that, we should also note that the light is like the shadow here is a bit red now because the red light's bouncing off there and lighting up the shadow as well, which is really interesting and kind of cool. And maybe so is the texture roughness 0 or 1 by default? Roughness what is it by default? It's 0 by default, right? I think all the default is 0. But if the roughness, I think the roughness should be 1. I think if we make the roughness 1 instead of 0, that would also... I'm not sure actually. I have no idea what I'm talking about. But it's another thing to try, is what I'm trying to say. And I'm thinking maybe I should make all the other stuff a roughness of 1 as well. Well, I mean, it's changed. It's changed this. It hasn't made it better, but it has changed it. It's a little strange, isn't it? Or, I mean, it's a lot strange. It is a lot strange. So let's say we take this. Oh, the base color's gone. Let me just put the base color back. Let me also constants. Make it 1. Roughness of 1, save. I mean, you know what I mean? I mean, shouldn't the entire buttress be lit fairly uniformly? I mean, the entire question mark, I mean, the entire exclamation mark is lit fairly consistently, so that part is good. But shouldn't all the letters of the buttress be lit fairly consistently? So I increased the roughness, so I changed the roughness to 1. I think the roughness is 0 by default. Changing this to 1024 does not seem to have improved things. Like it seems to be the same as before. So the emissive, I know that if I move this closer, it'll probably light all of that properly. Just wondering if I put like a sphere. it's less than perfect, right? So it's less than optimal. This. And it's also kind of weird why, if my previous theory of the light coming out of this in according to the normals, even if that's the case, if that's the case, then the exclamation mark should not be lit quite like this, as far as I can tell. That's the weirdest thing. That's the weirdest thing. Weirdest thing. Alright, so changing the roughness doesn't change anything. Let me move this closer. And let me crank this back down again. 500 is a little bit excessive, to be honest. Let me crank this back down to 50. It might be just, it's just excessive brightness. Alright, save that. And I'm thinking maybe I should also move it up a little bit. I mean, I think it's mostly right. Maybe it's too close to the surface and so the light bounces not accurate. I don't know. I don't know what's going on. Maybe this light is actually being reflected off the exclamation mark and the geometry of the exclamation mark is causing specific things to happen. I don't know. I don't know what's going on. It's super interesting, but I can't actually figure out what's going on. And should the exclamation mark have should the other textures also have a roughness on them? Super interesting. Super interesting. But not entirely successful. It's maybe 80% successful so far. I mean, you know what I mean? It doesn't. Why is the U and the T not as lit? I guess this is about as good as we've ever gotten. Just wondering why I mean, maybe there's a hole. Maybe there's a hole in the light because of the geometry of the question mark. It doesn't really help that the shadow is so dark. Maybe I should turn the shadow into a lighter texture, just for testing purposes. I mean, it's mostly right. You can kind of see that it's mostly right. It is mostly right. Alright, here we are. Whoa, don't do that. Alright. The question mark is definitely glowing. That's mostly right. Can't tell if this is right or not. I really can't. Okay. Alright. Alright, so let me turn the other lights back on. A skylight affects world. Light source affects world. And the question mark, let me just move it even closer to the buttress. Shadow. I think I want to make the shadow white. I mean, the shadow, it casts a shadow. We don't really need it to be black itself. Skylight. I think I'm going to lower the skylight intensity some more. 0.3. And build. Last one before I take a break. Alright, last one before we take a break from this test. And I think it's been fruitful. It's been fruitful. I mean, we figured out some stuff, I think. It's a little odd, though. It is I don't know if it's it could still be because the S is the scale of the S is not correct. As in the light map resolution on the S is not correct, and maybe that's why. So if it's relying on the light that bounce off the S onto buttress, and if the resolution on the S is not high enough, then the light will be inconsistent on buttress, right? Maybe I need to make the buttress bigger. A bigger buttress would catch the light more consistently. Maybe that's the only problem. It is possible that that is the only problem, is that the buttress is just too small. Or rather, the buttress is small compared to the S, and if we're relying on the S to bounce light onto the buttress, then the size difference makes the inconsistency really noticeable. Alright, maybe I'll just make the buttress bigger and then build the lighting again. I keep putting this lighting over and over again. I do realize it's just slow. It's just super slow. But we're learning. We're learning stuff along the way. Coding textures and coding light maps. That looks good. This looks good. We have the sun casting a shadow on the S, and then with a glowing question mark. And you know, when the contrast is less high, you don't even notice anything wrong with but in fact it looks great. I think high contrast really emphasizes the errors, like any, or not really errors, but any inconsistencies or lack of optimizations in the lighting becomes more noticeable when the contrast is high. And maybe now that shadow is not purely black, then shadow is also contributing to light being reflected back onto the buttress. And that probably helps. Okay, the Z fight on the overlapping shapes and shadow is not cool. There, that's a problem. Well, we fixed one problem, but now there's another. I mean, the same thing is happening here. It's less noticeable when the contrast is lower. But we can fix that just by moving the O back a little bit, so it's not actually coplanar like that. Buttress, you know, like you don't really notice anything wrong with this now. And I wonder if there is anything wrong. See, it seems like it's lit pretty consistently, right? Alright, this looks great. This looks great to me. We don't need to make the buttress any bigger again. That looks fine. Okay. Okay. Alright. Good. Good. So I have some ideas about things I want to do with the level. Actually, let me just walk off here. Oh, look, even the collision is correct now. Nice. But I need to like design the level and like plan out the level. I might have to spend some time thinking about this, or maybe I should just take a prolonged break from doing all this stuff. Anyway, I'm going to end this video here. I would call this a success. Let me just save all. And I need to think about what I want to do next. I want to actually make a level, right? But not too sure what to make of it. I mean, there'll be sentences and words and walking around. I just need to figure out a path or something. All right, let me save and close. All right, I'll see you in the next video, whenever that is.